So, part two of the Enlightenment, the modern worldview we get out of this. So, as far as religious, God's place is in a mechanical universe. It's called into question with deism or deism. God is the remote and impersonal creator. God, like a clockmaker who set the universe in motion. Biblical accounts of miracles and the deity of Christ were not open to empirical verification, so it had to be rejected. As far as political, challenged the absolute monarchy in its traditional form, rejected the divine right of kings. This is important because we, in the Declaration of Independence, flat out reject the divine right of kings and say we're moving on with more of a Republican or more of a republic elections. It moved toward greater political participation, parliamentary systems, a three-branch system, and it promoted freedom, liberty, and individual rights. Enlightenment thinking would impact two major political revolutions, and that would be the American Revolution first and the French Revolution in the latter half of the 1700s. And I will say, I'll go back to this and say, the American Revolution, we are more of a conservative revolution. We only go through, we're on our second form of government right now with the federal constitution. And the French Revolution is a more liberal or more virtuous revolution. And France has been through many governments, and it's extremely bloody. The French Revolution is, and this is the blueprint with the French Revolution of how these political revolutions seem to go throughout history moving forward. American Revolution was the exception because we were bloody, but we were not. We were more of a stable. We kind of knew what we wanted, and we tweaked some things, and in our second constitution, it seems to be working. The French Revolution, more virtuous, and a lot more bloody. And this seems to be the blueprint of how revolutions go moving forward. Epistemology, basically how we know what we know. The new scientific models of knowing developed. So you got to think of the scientific method with Newton and things like that. How do we know what we know? Sense, experience, education, impact of institutions and culture. Economic liberalism, challenge to mercantilism. Adam Smith would be considered an economist today, but he was an author back then, a philosopher, a philosopher kind of thing. He believed in modern day capitalism, laissez-faire economics, and laissez-faire is French for leave alone. He writes his book is called An Inquiry into the Wealth of Nations in 1776, and he promotes free trade, free markets, economic choice and freedom, capitalism driven by the invisible hand, in other words, self-interest, the invisible hand of self-interest. And he has three basic economic laws that you need to know about, because at the base of our economic structure, these laws still apply. The law of self-interest, the law of competition, and the law of supply and demand. Self-interest, everybody does something for themselves. If you take a job and you get paid for it, that's self-interest. There's two exceptions to the law of self-interest, and that would be volunteerism and that would be good Samaritanism. Those are the only two laws. If you say what's in it for me, that's self-interest. Competition produces a better product at a cheaper price. So this is why in our Constitution we do not allow straight up monopolies. You'll get into civics and you'll learn we do allow certain monopolies, but straight up business monopolies we do not allow. The law of supply and demand, the invisible hand, sets the price. Consumers set price, wages, and production goals. So the Enlightenment, it reflects the modern worldview. It's associated with an emerging liberalism coming up, and basically it promotes more of the middle class, more of the poor class people, and they should have a say in their future, in basically in the political systems. You've got to keep in mind, at this period of time in Europe, kings, nobles run everything. And so the Enlightenment says, basically, with reason and these scientific models, that we should be able to perfect a society with a lot more, or more inclusion from these other peoples. But we are finished with this PowerPoint.